Good morning, and a great morning, guys. Welcome to another fabulous episode of Exit Strategies Radio Show. Hey, I'm your host. Y'all know who I am. Coleman J. Blatt, broker and owner of Exit Realty Local Group in beautiful North Charleston, South Carolina. Guys, we have a fantabulous show for us today. I'm super duper excited because in the current real estate climate, everyone is kind of focusing on a very small segment of the market, but they're missing the greater opportunity. And today, I have an extra special guest. Look here, we had to throw the rope across the country to California and work on trying to reel them back. Now, we ain't got them all the way to Charleston yet, but look here, we got them to Tennessee. So I have none other than Casey Franchini with Brick by Brick Wealth. Casey, how are you doing today?
I am doing so great. It's fall, it's beautiful out, and I'm so happy to be on your show. Thank you so much, Corwin, for having me.
Awesome. Well, you're quite welcome, quite welcome. So look, I'm just kind of get in here and start asking a few questions. Our listeners, first of all, tell us a little bit about you and what it is that you do.
So I'm born and raised California. So you kind of almost got there, right? And so I moved now to Memphis, Tennessee. I am a real estate investor, also a stay-at-home mom, and a rental property coach. So I buy real estate, rental properties, long-term rentals. That's our retirement plan. We don't have a pension. So that's what we have going for us. And I also help aspiring real estate investors get into the real estate game by helping them personally with their first rental property. So anyone can do it. And I love helping people do that as well during my free time.
So the name of your company is Brick by Brick Wealth.
Yep.
So if you don't mind, where did the name come from?
You know, as I was thinking of something that would kind of encompass our mission and our goal and the philosophy behind investing and in real estate, it really is brick by brick. You will get wealthy. Bricks meaning brick homes, buying houses just one at a time. That's the path to financial freedom. That's the path to wealth. And that is the easiest, most surefire way that the average Joe can make it, can be a millionaire without a lot of extra work, without having some high degree, without being a millionaire first. Anyone can do it, just brick by brick.
Well, it's interesting you should say that. So one, I'm gonna ask you your mission, but I want to share something as well. I was recently interviewed by Top Agent Magazine or something like that, some publication that interviewed me and asked me how I got started, and we kind of came around to that why. And my why in this business is kind of rooted similarly. I realized a long time ago that people that have wealth in this country have real estate. I mean, the person that hits the lottery, or matter of fact, the kid that comes out of high school or college and gets a pro, basketball or football contract, one of the first things they do is go buy a house. So that they start with, like you said, one. But what is your mission? Like, define what the mission of Brick by Brick is.
So, our mission at Brick by Brick Wealth is to help the everyday person find success and find financial freedom through real estate investments. That's our mission, to help the everyday person get rich
That
from
is
real estate. Slowly,
that
one
is
at a
awesome.
time, but that's it.
One at a time.
One at a time.
So let me ask you this, and not to go too far on this tangent, I definitely want to keep us where we are. But do you guys do any, let's say, multifamily, or you simply focus on single units?
That's a loaded question because there are pros and cons, and multifamily means a lot of different things. So there's
Mm.
residential multifamily, 1 to 4 unit. I'm all about that. My students buy those. There just aren't anywhere I am, so I don't need to do that. Now, commercial multifamily, some people think apartment buildings, that's 5 units and up. That's a different ball game. And that's a job you're going to have. I mean, there's no getting out of that. I like passive investing. I want to be that passive investor. I want to be room mom for my kids. I want to go to their baseball games. I don't want to have to be involved in the day-to-day operations so much as you would need to be with commercial real estate. I manage my own property, so I am a landlord, But when you put in the right tenants into small residential, single family up to 4 units, it really is super duper 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 part time. And with commercial, you're talking about turnover, the whole building every 10 years, and always constantly reinvesting. And gives me anxiety just thinking about it. It's great. It's just not for me.
Look, what I just saw, Casey, I saw the build up, right? Like, oh God, no, 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 no. Oh, no. It just stopped. That is hilarious. That is awesome. So, brick by brick, let's go back to the basics. Like, okay, introduction of a prospective investor to you. What type of questions should you asking them?
The first question I ask them is, do you have money to invest? Because a lot of people, there's a lot of gurus out there. You can buy houses with no money and bad credit and buy my program, this and that. There's a lot of pie in the sky, people taking advantage of others with those types of programs and things like that. But for me, I work with people who have money to invest. So you have savings, you want to put it to use, you want your money to work for you. Let's
Mhm,
find a solid property that cash flows and appreciates somewhere safe. You can save your money from being eaten away by inflation. Let's get
mhm,
some property tax, some tax reductions from having a passive investment, and let's put your money to good use. So the first question I ask people is, do you have money to invest? And I work with students all over the country who invest all over the country, and I recommend having $30,000 to $50,000 liquid cash ready to invest in something. You can get your cash from a HELOC, you can borrow from your 401k. There's a lot
mhm,
of ways to get your liquid cash. You just have to know that you have it somewhere
mhm,
that we can access it. And then the next question I ask is, are you worthy of a loan? Do you have decent credit? Is someone going to lend to you? And if not, if you have a bad credit score, that's going to inhibit your ability to get a great loan. That's going to cost you more money and points and higher interest rates to go with
mhm,
like a different type of loan, a different type of lender. So those are the first questions I ask right up front. How worthy are you of getting a loan? And do you have money to invest? And then the people think the hardest part is finding a market where to invest. I have a lot of students who live in expensive markets, California, New
mhm,
York. They're like, I don't know, I can't buy anywhere. Texas now is really expensive. So, what are their options now for buying rentals at cash flow? Because they aren't going to be buying them there.
mhm,
So, people are mostly worried about where do I invest? And I help with that as well. But that's not the first question I ask. That's usually their first question they ask me.
mhm. Okay. All right. That's interesting. That's the first question they ask you. But let me come back around, Casey, to this. And thank you so much for sharing that because those are like for our listeners, guys, these are the basic, the fundamentals. You want to invest in real estate. Well, we got to have the ability and the opportunity to leverage. I mean, the ability is in your cash and your credit, as well as the ability to leverage is tied in there as well. If you have reasonable credit score, you can trustfully get financing that works better and best for you. So, how do you identify like where someone should invest and what type of properties? Obviously, you have single family detached, you have single family attached, condos, townhouses, those kind of things. What kind is your okay? Well, if you're doing this, then maybe because there's no one size fits all. So, listeners, guys,
Correct.
yeah, Casey, yeah, thank you. There is no one size fits all. So, what is kind of the indicator for you that someone needs to go a specific route?
Depends on their goals, their real estate goals, and really their savings rate and how much they will have to invest in a certain period of time. Because some students, they're scrapping all they can to get that $30,000 that I require to join my program. You need 30,000 because that's how much you're going to need to buy a decent house.
Mhm,
They're going to use all that they can. So they're going to be in a certain market. Now I have students that have literally $1 million cash. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I could choke you. You shouldn't have that
mhm,
much cash. But they
mhm,
have $1 million cash. So look, their options are different. And the types of properties they're going to buy are different. They might be needing to mix in some short-term rentals and maybe even have some properties that don't cash flow to help with tax, with their
mhm,
tax burden. There's a lot of different strategies for people. And it's really is like you said, Corwin, it's unique to the individual. What are your goals? What's your savings rate? What's your risk level? People that want to buy these really cheap properties in D class areas because they say, oh, I can buy a house for $30,000 and I can
mhm,
put 30,000 into it and I can fix it up and I can buy that all cash. And it's like, okay, well, you're buying in a really bad area. It's still going to be really bad. That's why it only costs you $30,000.
mhm,
So once we go over the risk, the pros and cons of buying a house that cheap, all of a sudden now to most people, it doesn't seem so appealing anymore, because we're in this for long term investment. Now, again, I'm in it for long term, and we have to think long term. Is the property that you're investing in today going to be worth more tomorrow? Because, yes, we can all make money monthly with cash flow, but no one's getting rich and retiring off $300 a month cash flow.
Hmm.
That's great. We need that. We want that. And it's definitely helped my life, making money every month. But where are we going to get rich? Where is that coming from? It's coming from appreciation. It's coming from the waiting game. So you have to buy in areas that are going to appreciate with price and rent. We need all the things. We need cash flow. We need appreciation. It's not one or the other, because if you want to be a safe investor, most of my students, including myself, we are parents. We have children. We work hard for our money. We have people have real jobs, and we can't just throw away a down payment in some area that's cheap because it's going to make us a little bit of money every month. We have to make sure that it's going to still be worthy of our investment 10, 15, 20 years from now. Because I would love to have my properties passed down to my children and be like, oh, I remember Grandma Casey. She's the reason why we're going to Hawaii on spring break, because we got rich from her. Like, I want that. I want to be the generational wealth starter. And I want my properties to be passed down and down and down to where my kids and my grandkids don't have to want for nothing.
That's huge. And that's interesting you should say that. So this weekend, kind of my miscellaneous thoughts and all that stuff, I'm looking at, okay, well, this property at some point in time is probably going to be under our control. And then what does that look like? And oftentimes, and Casey, I'm very transparent. So I'm gonna say this, but oftentimes as parents, and definitely this is prevalent in some communities more so than others, in those situations, well, we're gonna go ahead and let the children live in it. We don't establish it as an investment. We don't reap the benefit of it as being an investment. I know people right now that are real estate, have multiple properties, but they let their children live in them. They're not making any cash flow from them. The children aren't taking care of them. They're still burdened with all of this. And then subsequently, they're struggling to try to make ends meet on their own when their property could be leveraging them, could be helping them to take care of themselves. And then upon their passing, everything goes to their children, and they would have taught their children how to do the same thing, to let the property take care of them versus them trying to struggle to figure out how they're going to maintain and take care of the property. Does that make sense?
It definitely does. And I don't think I would let my kids live in it if they weren't making money off it. I'd be like, okay, you can live in this house, but you're going to house hack. You're going to have roommates or someone to pay. This property needs to be paid by somebody other than the family unit. So
Hmm.
you can get a roommate to come and pay half. But yeah, they're not going to be living for free. I want them to. My daughter, my oldest, she's only 11, and she thinks real estate's boring. I'm like, you think it's boring? But how do we buy that travel trailer this year? How do we buy our truck cash? It
Hmm.
came from our rental properties, Juliet. Like,
Hmm.
come on.
Hmm.
So it's not going to be boring when you realize the money that it's making our family.
Hmm.
And one day you come to the properties, you help us rehab. You're doing all these things with us because one day these houses are going to be yours and your brother's, and you
Hmm.
guys are going to have to manage them
Hmm.
and learn how to make money. I don't care if she never has a job, if she can do a job managing properties or buying her own or figuring things out. But she's definitely not going to be getting freebies. She's going to work for it. And then she'll get it when I'm dead.
So I had a client, unfortunately, he's experiencing some health, concerns, but he bought investment property. So he started a portfolio for his daughter. He set and distinguished the LLC as an acronym for her. And everything he bought in that company was for her benefit. So it helped through high school, through college. She's graduated now. So I'm assuming that if he still even owns anything in it, that it still benefits her. But he made her work on the houses during the summer. So they need to be painted, they need to be cleaned up, trashed out because tenants vacated or whatever. If she was out of school, she was there over there working. And she understood that those were her properties, would be her properties to help her to take care of herself. And I thought that was the neatest thing looking at that particular situation and scenario that, they have a vested interest. Like you said, your daughter is seeing learning now, and now she's able to associate rental property with a lifestyle. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
It does. And one thing that I'm trying to ingrain in my children that I wasn't really taught. My dad was an entrepreneur, but never quite made it. But my mom was a nurse her whole life. So she equated making money with working. Work hard equals money. And through all the books that I'm reading and the people that I listen to, I want my children to think differently. I want them to equate making a lot of money with, this is gonna, I don't, how everyone takes this, but not a lot of work. So you don't have to work really hard all day long to make a lot of money. You can make smart choices, invest wisely, and you can make a lot of money without working hard. So I want them to learn that, like, hey, you don't have to do the grind to make money. You definitely got to put in the work. You definitely got to earn your dues and learn your stuff. But it's not for 60 years. You don't have to work like my mom did until she was in her 60s every single day. You know, there's
And
other choices.
as I sit here with my mom in the next room at 60 something, and she's still trying to work some and things of that nature. It is a lifestyle and it's a mindset. And that's what you're really talking about teaching them a different mindset. It requires you to do things that others won't do. So it requires you to educate yourself and practice principles that are typically outside of what a lot of people would say that is the norm. That means that maybe instead of you going to the concert this month, this rock concert or whatever concert it is, that you're going to this investment seminar so you can learn some tips and tricks on how to leverage and get to the next level. Maybe it means foregoing a vacation to save up money to go towards the money for the down payment for the next property, things of that nature. That's a sacrifice a lot of people,
We've,
Casey, just really
yep,
don't want to make.
we've made a lot of sacrifices. We really did. When we moved to Memphis, we bought a fixer. We moved here because I wouldn't have to work. I could stay home with my kids and be a stay-at-home mom and all that. But with only living on one income, we weren't living the life like our neighbors. They were going on large vacations every break, every school break. Over the summer, they would take these lavish, they go to Disney World. We've never been to Disney World. Disneyland, because we're from California, yes, but not Disney World. The $10,000 vacation, no, I haven't done that. There's a lot of things that we put off. We learned how to fix everything ourselves because we couldn't afford to hire people to fix our own house for us. So we learned how to do it. We didn't pay for a lot of those luxuries. We had old cars. We barely bought a new car, and it was still used in this year, but we haven't bought new cars forever. And it sacrifices because in our kitchen, oh my gosh, Corwin, our kitchen was a gutter. I mean, we bought it. We lived here 10 years, almost 10 years, and it was a gut job from the beginning. We just now did our kitchen this past year. Took us a year to do it because we did it ourselves and we did a lot of things. But every single year I told my husband, I said, so Blake, do we want to buy another rental house or do we want to fix our kitchen? Because they're both going to cost $30,000. So every year we chose rental house instead. We sacrificed. I heard one have friends over, no parties because our kitchen was terrible. But look, we've got some houses now and I make a full-time income from my rentals and I don't really work hard for them, anymore. So it was a sacrifice. And yes, I feel like everyone needs to learn and feel that sacrifice. There's no reward without giving something up, but you don't have to give something up for life. Just make the right decisions.
That's interesting. Again, part of mindset. People don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to give up in order to have. They don't want to give up anything, even for a time period. And you just made it plain and clear there that, hey, I made this sacrifice. I didn't have a decent kitchen or what I would refer to as a decent kitchen for a while in order to be able to do this. So now that I'm at this position, now that's not a concern or worry per se anymore. I made the sacrifice for that time period. Casey, that is awesome. That is awesome. So look, I don't want to be remiss. If you could please tell listeners, where they can reach you, your website, so we can make sure that guys, I want y'all to shut Casey's website down. I want y'all to run amok. I want y'all to go search. I want you to reach out and contact her so she can help you take the steps that she is helping so many others to do to create financial freedom and to build wealth. So Casey, how can people reach you?
Sure. So they can find me on my website. It's brickbybrickwealth.com. And I'm fine if you want to email me personally. It's Casey, that's CASEY, at brickbybrickwealth.com. And I am on Instagram. That's my social media of choice every single day. And that's Brick by Brick Wealth.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So look, I want y'all to do this because a banner on Casey's website says a free class. All right. How to retire from your 9 to 5 with rental properties. Right.
Yes.
Y'all need to go and check out Casey's website and click on that banner so you guys can get signed up for that class. Again, how to retire from your 9 to 5 with rental properties. That is awesome. That's awesome. So, Casey, your clients, they invest, you said, all over the country. Am I correct?
Correct. Yes. Hmm.
All right. Any particular markets? Um,
So
Go ahead.
there's a lot of markets, and again, it depends upon your strategy because I have students that do long-term rentals and short term. But an easy way to knock out like 70% of the potential areas is that you really want to be in a landlord-friendly state. So that's a red state. It just is. Yeah, because what we're looking for is equality. We want things to be fair. That's all. When squatters have rights, that's not quite fair. So
Mm,
we're not looking for, I want to evict everyone because I'm a meanie. No, we just want equal, just fair, just fairness. And so you'll find that landlord friendly states, low property taxes are really important because that directly affects your bottom line. I love Texas. Well, it's kind of purple now, but red state. It's great. But the property taxes are some of the highest in the country. So that's going to directly affect your bottom line. So those are the top two ways. The first one is property taxes. You want low property tax rates and you want landlord friendly just for fairness. Those two things will really help you narrow down your areas. But I'm really liking Oklahoma, Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio. Those right now are the top ones my students are investing in at the moment.
that is awesome. That's awesome. You said something there. People sometimes miss, Casey, the implication of politics in things such as this. They miss certain types of states, certain leadership types, let me phrase that, are more friendly to these type of things because, and I say friendly, but that they understand it differently and they don't create a situation where it's going to be of a negative impact or consequence to someone who is aspiring to create and build wealth. Someone who is first time investor, you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're unable to remove a tenant from a property because they have more rights than you do for your property that you're paying a mortgage payment on every month. Those kind of things, guys, is what Casey is alluding to. And we have to make sure that we're having a real and fair conversation in regards to it. Have to. So, Casey, look, we've had an awesome show. I thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Brickbybrickwealthguys.com. I need y'all to go there. I need y'all to shut it down. I need y'all to overrun Casey with these classes that she's giving you for free on how to retire from your 9 to 5 with rental properties. Casey, one more time, how can our listeners get in contact with you? How can they reach you?
They can reach me at my website, brickbybrickwealth.com. And if you guys want some, even more free information, I don't even like the word free, but just complimentary, because this is stuff, you guys, I've been in the industry for 15 years. And honestly, I hate social media, hate it. So when I put stuff out, it's not to show you what I had for lunch. It's not pictures of my dogs. It's not to show you my toes on the beach. It's to give you information that you actually need. So if you are considering investments with real estate, every single day I post knockout information on my Instagram. So, and every week, if you're a part of my newsletter, you can sign up on my website. I provide amazing, detailed, helpful information every single week that I write personally. So you can be a part of my VIP newsletter. Those really are the best places to really get good information if you're thinking about becoming an investor.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Casey, again, thank you so much for taking time to listen to me ask you some questions and most importantly, to respond wonderfully to them. Our listeners, guys, hopefully y'all got some great information today. Again, y'all please reach out to Casey. Y'all please visit brickbybrickwealth.com. Y'all please get this information and let her know how she can help you. Always remember that we are here as a resource, that we are engaged and involved not only in our community at the local level, but also at the state and national level as well. We're everywhere. And that's for a very particular reason, because our mission here is to empower our community through financial literacy and real estate education, guys. We're legacy building. As always, thank y'all so much for tuning in. And you know what I say, I love you. I love you. I love you. And we're going to see you guys out there in those streets.